Hello, geniuses. And stoners. I have a feeling stoners don't give a shit whether I say hello to them or not. Geniuses probably don't either. But hello and greetings. And if you don't fall into either one of those categories, greetings and what the hell are you doing here? I'm the Stone Genius. I'm Ro. Or TSG. But you know what alias I want to go by on this day. Now, it is Friday, or whatever day you happen to be listening to the show, it's that day. I'm recording this on a Friday. I was going to record this maybe half an hour. I'm trying to figure out how... I turned on YouTube. There's a new Megan Thee Stallion Dua Lipa video, Sweetest Pie. I wasn't sure what it was about. I was like, Megan Thee Stallion, Sweetest Pie, not Swedish Pie, because that would be an IKEA thing. This is a Sweetest Pie. And I apologize for my enunciation. I believe I talk like I have a mouthful of gravel sometimes, so I apologize. Or in a video I may release from 30 plus years ago, 7 to 8 pieces of gum in my mouth. So side note on that one. Someone that I met, so here's the deal with me. I will meet people and know immediately something about, I don't want to call it an aura. There is just something that I read in people, and there are a few very, very, very good people. Just something that about them you know. And I'm talking a few. Like, let's say all the people that know me. There's like 3 of you that hit me like this. Maybe not even that many. So John was one of them. John, I met he and his wife. I believe it was just after they got married. They bought a camcorder from me. A camcorder. They were very progressive. I don't know how they are now. They were very progressive at that time, buying an 8mm camcorder. Yeah, none of these huge things that sit on your shoulder. No. It's a tiny thing you hold in one arm while that arm's propped against your body to support the weight. I know there's a certain amount of the audience that has no idea what an 8mm camcorder is. I see the demographics of who listens to this show. Anyway, John was one of those people. And then we didn't see each other for 25 years. We had run into each other, and it was like no time passed. And out of the blue, one night, I was sitting at home, and I sold him his camcorder sometime 89 to 91, somewhere in that period. I'm trying to I could probably do research once again of a producer. I could do the research and figure out, because I think I remember which camcorder they bought, which means I could figure out what year and all that. Deduce stuff. Yeah. One night I'm sitting on the couch with my wife, and I get a text from John. And John has been on my other show before, and I will have him on. I'll talk about shows here in a minute as well. I will have John. John is first of all, he's an amazing human being. Secondly, he's an attorney. So I was talking about attorney stuff. And I do have a lot of interesting questions for him next time. Mainly of what can be done with my body after my passing. And I don't mean like given to a school so they can study it. I'm talking catapult related things to my body. Anyway, John... That'll be next show that I have with him. John sends me a text. And I'm like, what? And it's a video. And I look, and it is like a maybe 7 to 10 second clip. So The most outstanding thing when it comes is I have hair, which I have not had hair since 1993 when I shaved my head. And then shortly thereafter, God was like, well, fuck you. If you don't want hair, I'm not ever going to let you have it again. So I get this video, and it's me with hair, which I'm beautiful, by the way, ish. But then I talk. First of all, I don't know what accent I had then, or perhaps still have. I don't know what was going on there. Part of it was I had a lot of gum in my mouth. I'm not sure why, A, I had so much gum in my mouth. B, I decided it was okay to talk with that much gum in my mouth. C, why would I talk to someone videotaping me? So here's the thing about 1990. Let's give it that date. No one knew this shit would stay around. No one knew. Well, first of all, John is weird because who keeps a fucking videotape for 30 years of some salesperson they knew with beautiful hair chomping on some gum? Evidently, it was him. So he was the first one. I'm glad there wasn't cancel culture back then because he probably could have put that up. I always say that I don't have shame. Shame is something new. Whatever. Another story. I do not like that. I would rather people not see that. But the way I get over that feeling is to make sure people see it. I think that's one way that I try to prevent myself from being wrong the same way twice. Not to say that I don't do it, not to say that I'm not wrong on the same thing jillions of times. I'm just saying that often if I am incorrect, I will make sure that that is exposed as much as possible, not only so that I know that's out there and I want people to know that, but it can keep them aware of what's going on in whatever instance that may be. So I wish that video wasn't out there. It's not out there, but I'm going to put it out there because so here is the thing. I think at this point in my life, I want you all to see me with hair. That will drive me more than the embarrassment of me chomping the gum. Because you can always, I wonder if I could. It still does not look pretty. I mean, I look pretty. It as a whole doesn't look pretty. There's a lot of chomping. I've been told I have a big mouth to begin with. Think Mick Jagger. No, okay. So once again, I mentioned I see the demographics or audience. They won't know who that is. So think someone with a big mouth. Sorry, that's all I got. I don't have any current reference other than think of whoever has the biggest mouth. I probably have at least that big a mouth. Don't know how we got about this. So anyway, I was going to say I could post the video perhaps with no sound. And that would... I wonder if I could blur my mouth so it looked like I was cussing. And if you can't follow the words, like I almost feel like you have to hear what I'm saying and watch my mouth to even try to understand what's being said. I feel like I should have been in the movie Deliverance and not one of the guys that was going on the canoe trip, but one of the guys at the gas station. Once again, I'm just giving that to a special part of my audience because the younger people, they have no reference to Mick Jagger and they have no idea what Deliverance probably is, which is best for them to not know that. I still think that movie is great, though. Scary as shit. This is why I will not camp out. And I'm a puss. No, I can't say that. I mean, I can say that, but I shouldn't say that. Because I am not the outdoorsy type. Now, don't get me wrong. I love being outdoors. It's like, it's time to go to bed. Then I no longer want to be outdoors. Just personal thing with me. Maybe something happened in my past at Boy Scout camp. I'm just kidding, maybe. This is fun today. And we're only 11 minutes in. So welcome. Let's see. What else was I going to talk about? I'm sure I didn't even finish my first thought. And I could be writing this stuff down. But I'm not going to. Or I haven't been. I haven't been doing that. I could do that. Pen, paper. I guess that's it. So I'm going to talk about shows here. Because I know, and some people, I've been thinking about how this sounds. But I've already been talking to people about this. So it is out there and people do know. So it's not like it's a secret. And then I'm going to talk to you all that listen to this podcast. Because I do not believe this person I'm going to talk about listens to this podcast. And could this information get back to them? Yes. Will I have a chance to talk to them before it gets back to them? Maybe. Probably. So here's what's going on in my podcasting life. Should I go with this voice more often? No, I think not. So here's what's going on. Is that I participate. I do 3 podcasts. I do this podcast, The Stone Genius. I do a podcast with my wife called The Longest One Night Stand with Bobby and Ro. And then I do one called The Roro Show with Steven. Steven's based out of New York City. As opposed to me, Steven is a very, very, very... Think as many varies as you would like to put in front of successful, and that's what Steven is. He is a award-winning American playwright. He is amazing. The problem that I've had recently, and we talked about this at the end of the year, and it's not a problem because it's something that's amazing for him. He is so busy, especially with the pandemic, getting to the end of what's going on. Hopefully, his shows that he has in production are popping up all over the world. And I mean, in China, South Korea, I mean, they're in Europe. It's amazing what's going on right now in his life. And he is just very busy. Now, I have mentioned before, and I've mentioned to him that I found the perfect job for me, and unfortunately, I created it, but gave it away, and I gave it to him. And what I was meaning is, I always say that I don't mind doing a lot of things for the show, the research and the things, but I do have a full-time job. I do work, and just me. Some people don't understand this. You'll have to be on the genius side and not on the stoner side to understand this part, but there's part of me that does not want to give up. I understand that I could really put in a lot more effort and research and really burn that candle all the way to the end of that wick every day and do the things I need to do to make one or more of my podcasts successful, I believe. That being said, that's not my drive. I'm not doing this in hopes of monetary reward at some point, although it would be nice to be able to do this full time and not have a regular job. But that's not why I started doing that. That's not why I continue to do that. There's something that is giving me a feeling of not purpose. I don't know. I can't explain it. I don't know. But I wouldn't be doing these if I didn't think, because I don't even want to waste my time. There are times where my last show, and I think I mentioned it, I recorded an hour show, wasn't happy with it, dumped it, did another hour show, and that's what I put out. So I actually spent 2 hours, and if I was better prepared, I probably could have done it in 1 hour. So I will mention this on podcasting. I always mention producers. My wife, Bobby, from Bobby and Roe, The Longest One Night Stand. I know I said that backwards, but whatever. Right now we are, and I'm not going to say that she's watching and I occasionally watch it. If it is on and I'm home, like last night, what do you want to watch? And I turned on Real Housewives of Dallas. So I don't even know what season we're in. We are not nearly caught up. I think maybe season 4, maybe 5, somewhere in that ballpark. And 2 of them started a podcast. They go, well, we started a podcast. And it's funny because they show up and they have amazing studio. They have videographers. They have at least one producer, probably a production assistant. All this going on. And I'm like, yeah, you started a podcast. And maybe that's how the very successful podcasts do it. They already have money, so they're able to just jump off. I do this. I am around this industry, even at my other job. So I talk about it quite a bit and about equipment and things of that nature. I always feel bad when people come in and they want something, say they want a podcasting, vlogging camera. And they have $600 saved up. And they're like, what can I get? And it's like, nothing that's going to do you any good. There's things that you could buy that you could do it, but it's not great. And that's what they don't understand. That's why it took me so long also. Because I wanted to make sure when I started this, that I started it in a way that wouldn't turn people off. I figured my voice and the content would be enough to turn people off once they listen, but let's get them to listen first. So not have bad mics, hopefully things of that nature. So when I started my podcast originally, The Row Show. That was the first one. I did some interviews, and I thought the interviews would be fun, light. I thought the interviews, and I think the reason they were different is because of the pandemic, they were done via the phone. And I do think you miss a lot of that. I just didn't want to have to do, a lot of the people that I talk to are Apple. I am not Apple, and I can't put FaceTime on my Pixel phone, but you can put Google Duo on yours, so we could do that. Some people don't like doing that. So it's audio only. Until my beard gets nice and full and bushy. Once the beard is back, which Beardy's now on 1 week, once Beardy is fully back, this will be a video show. I've said it before. I will say it again. At some point, I believe I will be the leader of a cult, not a bad one, a wonderful one that's full of love and geniuses and stoners and friends of geniuses and stoners. Ooh, I should make a T-shirt for that. That'd be great. Friend. Stoners and geniuses. Something like that. Anyway. So the first few interviews I did, they were very good. They were I thought they were good. They were deep. A lot of information. One of the initial interviews was Steven, who is now my co-host with the Row Show. And we just got along so well. We went to high school together, but we knew of each other, but we were not in the same cliques, whatever you want to call them, whatever we called them back then. I was a athlete who liked to skip school. He was in theater. I don't know if he skipped school or not. Maybe if you listen to the podcast, that interview, my original interview with Stephen Dolganoff, we would find that out. but we were never really, so I thought that would be good. When we went to high school in the Midwest, as soon as he graduated, he bolted for New York City. I meandered between the Midwest and Florida. So I thought that would be good, especially with me back in the Midwest. We could do some comparisons of our lives, our cities, the East Coast, Midwest thing. I thought there would be a lot there. And there is. The problem that we had in 2021, we knew that both of us would be extremely busy from Thanksgiving through the end of the year. So what we wanted to do is get a whole bunch of shows recorded in advance so that we did not have to record then. So we were recording 2, 3, sometimes 4 shows in a weekend, hour-long shows. And they were on timely topics, and we'd set them out. Well, the problem was then they may not be timely. Or we may record a show the next week that needs to be more timely, and so we would insert it in, so things got bumped around. And what happened was, if you were a listener, and I doubt there was any that has listened to every show, I'm quite honest about the fact that I don't even listen to my own shows. I know at the end of a show whether it's good or not, whether I feel good. It doesn't matter what anyone else feels. I mean, to them it does. I'm not discounting your feelings. That's not what I mean. I'm just saying that I don't care how you interpret it. This is the only way I care. I hope that you interpreted it well, but I don't have whatever. So I thought that Steve and I would be great together, so we did it that way. And then at the beginning of the year, we decided that first of all, we had a breakup show. I was going to break up with Steven, and then immediately we decided not to because we got some good news about some other things. And so we decided not to. So we're now into March when I'm recording this. So we're 9-ish, 10 weeks into the year, 11, somewhere in there. I believe we've only recorded 2 or 3 times together during that to put out. And I've had other content to put out. But the last couple of shows that we've had, they've had to be shorter than we've had to end them. As opposed to them coming to an organic end, we ended them. And then for this current week that I'm talking at right now, for this coming Monday, we're supposed to record, and he is going to be unable to. Now, he thought he could fix his schedule to do it. I told him he didn't need to. I would get something else out. It's probably going to be the show. So I hope maybe he does listen to our shows. So the problem is he is too successful for me. I believe that I could have saved this whole, however long it's taken me to tell this story up to now, which I think is only been a couple minutes. However long it's taken, I could have just said, he's more successful than me, which is amazing. Because I would fucking trade places with him in a minute. Maybe not New York City for... No, I would not. Success-wise, I would love to have all these opportunities arising that I had to participate in it or vet than doing a 1-hour show with a stoner in Kansas. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm amazing. Don't get me wrong. I don't want anyone to think that I'm putting myself down and I'm thinking that I'm anything less than amazing, because I know that. Even if I say that, I don't really mean it. Like if I sound like, I don't really mean it. Here's another hint. I think I've said this before. And see, this is what you get by being a listener that can make it to 25 minutes into a show or be too lazy to change the episodes. Most of the stuff I say, I don't mean, especially if it's mean or negative, because There are some things that would be mean and negative, but if we got into an argument, like if it was a spur of the moment thing, then I may be mean or negative towards someone because of how they were I'm sure it's not me, it's them. So the way they were behaving, that I may had to address that in a more stern manner than perhaps I would have normally. If I'm having a conversation or argument with someone, I've already had that argument conversation with someone. Or at least I've had it in my head. So once again, if it's like hockey. I've already measured you up. So in hockey, you'll see people, if they get into a scrum, someone will come grab someone by the jersey collar, sweater collar, and pull them back, and that person getting pulled back, they'll want to turn around and pop that guy. And they turn around and they see who it is, and they're like, I'll just skate away. And that's what I've done. If you and I are getting into a place where it's getting heated about some topic, I've already had this conversation. And just so you know, I am probably going to lead you down a path, and then I will use your words against you. Because I love doing that. It's fun. For me, not for you. And I'm going to give a shout out to someone I grew up with and went to high school with, Tony Younger. I'm using first and last name because last time I saw Tony and his wife, hey Stacy, last time I saw them, we were having a chat about a movie from the 70s called Logan's Run. We were having a chat about the theme of that movie, and we disagreed. And why I always loved Tony growing up, and why we don't never talk, but I still have a fondness for Tony, is that when he goes, I'm not arguing with you about this because eventually you'll use my own words against me. And he walked off. And I smiled because some people who've known me just as long haven't come to that realization. Now, I will tell you it is less satisfying now than it was in the past, because when I used to use people's words or statements against them, they would stop and they would give pause and they would see the conflict and have to resolve that conflict. Now they just don't give a shit for the most part. I'm wrong. You've proved that I was wrong. Don't give a shit. I'm still going to say I was right. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure I probably do it too. Probably not, but I'm sure I do. Probably not. I'm sure I do. Back to Steven. Now that I've given shouts out to everyone I went to high school with. So one of the reasons that I decided to keep the Roro show for continuing to go on is I have had some guests, more than one, tell me that they would not feel comfortable either A, with my content, the content that I've had in the past, or B, just even the name of the show, The Stone Genius. Which, that's fine. If they feel I don't understand that, I mean, I'm not even going to try to change my logic to even figure out what they mean with that. So that's why I was thinking I will put most of the interviews that I have on the Roro show. And that's how I would tell it. That way people, oh, the Roro show. That sounds weird. Why is it Roro? I don't know. I'm like, guys so nice they let me name my podcast twice. I don't know. So I thought that would be better. I have found out that most of the interviews that I enjoy doing the most wouldn't give a shit what the name of my show is, what the language I uses. use. Ugh. That's. I can't think. Whoa, nope. Can't think about that right now. That's gonna hurt my head. It's gonna hurt my head. I almost said so. Then I almost said it again. I imagine that the whistling was much better than me just saying so and moving along. People are used to filler words. So I should have just said it and moved along. Steven couldn't do the show this week, so he could have. See, and that's why I don't want to say it like that. So I want to make sure that I am 100% always. I'm trying to be transparent so that someone can't say, "Oh, you said this," and then I have a conflict in what I said or think I said. Steven's schedule makes it more difficult to schedule our shows. I have been the one to offer up. Steven has never been the one to say that he couldn't do a show in my memory. It always been, I will make sure this is taken care of. I will take care of this. This week without that show, I thought that I was going to put something in, but I didn't know what. And so I wanted to put this in because I think what I'm going to do is shut down the Roro show with Steven. So he doesn't know this yet. I will be interested. I doubt he's going to hear about this before I get to him. Steven, I'm not doing this like a public breakup like this, because I still want Steven on all the time. I just am having a lot of difficulty doing 3 shows. And I don't feel the need for the third one. And I believe Steven will be more than happy to be on the Stone Genius show. Or if that changes its name, which it could. This could. Again. Yeah, I know. I was thinking I could change the Roro show to the other and then kind of... Actually, that's may be what I do. I may change that. I'll keep this and then I may have like a weekly show or I may cut that one out altogether. That's what I'm going to do. So I actually have I have made an invitation to someone to be a weekly co-host of mine. And I have not heard back. I am not going to pressure. This person is very successful in what they do in life. There is very little reason of any that they should or would want to do a weekly podcast. However, that has not prevented me from asking. So if I do hear back, then the Roro show will change and have a new name. It will have a name and the Stone Genius. So it's still going to be that way. So if people don't want to be on that weekly show, then they can fuck off. And then I'm going to keep this show and I'll do daily shows, or I may do, like if I do a weekly show, one thing I've always talked about doing is talking about stuff that we had talked about in that show. So I may do that as well. So we'll see what happens. So I hope this person... Now, I'm also going to transition real quick over to something because I have a child coming home from school, from college for spring break. And I have had difficulty, and there was a difficulty in the last couple of weeks on pronouns. I think I have been getting much better at pronouns. My problem, and it's a personal problem, I tend to talk fast. And when I'm talking, and I will get hung up. If I call someone the wrong pronoun, other than their preferred pronoun, then I can get hung up on that. And you can see how easily I lose train of thought. So that is really probably less than optimum that I'm losing my train of thought. But here's my thing. When I slowed down, like the story like what I was explaining, and I was noticing this as I was telling the story, I didn't want to give any hint or preview to who this potential host would be. So I left out any identifying information. So if I can be that cautious to leave out any identifying information for that story, I need to continue to be cautious with the pronouns. Here's my personality. And this is a me, not a you, but I guess if someone's going to deal with me, you got to understand that I don't want to cause anyone undue stress, bad feel, whatever. Like, if you didn't like this show, I'm not going to stop doing the show, but you do not have to listen to the show. If you choose to listen to the show and complain about the show, then that's on you. That's a you thing, not a me thing. So a comment was made by our child just about pronouns. Now, I've told this story before. I will tell it again. When I was a trainer, I would generally have new hires with this giant telecommunications company for 2 weeks. And during that first week, the first couple of days, someone would say, I don't understand this shit. I'd be like, you don't understand this stuff? So I would say the question back to them, but I would replace the word, whatever curse word they used, I would replace it with something else. Generally, shit was the most common. So you don't understand this stuff. And I'd always say by the end of the first week, they would self-correct. So by the end of the first week, they'd be like, I don't understand this shit. I mean, this stuff. So they would know that they had said shit, they were aware of that, and they changed it. And it was only because I was just demonstrating the behavior, the desired behavior. I was modeling that for them. And then by the end of the second week, they would typically say, I don't understand this stuff. So they would change that. I have felt like in my conversations now, I will go back, I will stop, and I will slow down. Because what happened last time is I didn't want to change the pace of my conversation. I'd be talking real fast, and then I'd say something, I'd slow down and try to get it right. Well, now I'm trying to speak and talk more deliberate, especially if there is subject matter that may pertain or need to include, I don't know, information, the pronouns, however you want to say it, but sensitive. I mean, if that means something. So here's the thing with me. If my child tells me that they want me to use the correct pronouns, if they're not happy with where I am currently on doing that, then it's easiest for me. I just don't have to talk to them. That sounds mean. I'm still texting. I'm still caring about them. But if it causes them conflict to actually hear me audibly, then I will not do that. And you can take that for however you want, and I don't give two fucking shits how anyone takes that. That's just me. It's not going to change. It's been that way for 54 years. It's always been that way. That's why I can just walk away from people too. And that's a whole nother week's worth of shows probably. So I am really going to, so I wanted to mention that because I hope that Trinity, I know that Trinity listens to the show. So I want her to know, I want them to know how important it is for me to get this right for him. Say I'm getting teared up, and I shouldn't. Because we're 39 minutes into this. I should have been prepared for that. Anywho, anyhow, anyway. I hope if you listen to this on the day it comes out, which is... reading a text about... interview this weekend. So I've decided also the most fun interviews I'm having, the people don't give a shit about the Stone Genius, if it's called the Stone Genius. So I may have a bleep in the Stone Genius where it's a weekly show, and then I'll have this one as it's standalone but a companion piece, and I'll still have the one with my wife, the longest one night stand with Bobby and Ro. So there's the word. It's got to say goodbye. So long, word. See what I did there? I don't know what's going to happen next week. We will have a lot of fun. I don't know. I'm going to either be alone this week or have a lot of interviews this week. I am not sure. I'm waiting to hear on a few things, and I'm not sure how that's going to go. And I'm not sure which way I want it to go. Trinity and Bobby will be out of town. So if I don't have these interviews, I will be playing a lot of video games. And if I do have the interviews, then I will just be doing interviews and playing less video games. Okay. I don't think I was high enough at the end of the show. I should have continued to stay high during the show, because I think it really just slowed down. But that doesn't matter. I appreciate you. If you made it to 42 minutes, you must be a family member, so hello. I can't wait to talk to you all next week. I think I'm going to have some good information. I think we're going to have some good interviews. If these interviews pop this weekend and we get them done, I'm going to pop. I'm going to use pop a lot now. I will put them out next week. So I'm looking forward to that. And some of it will be talking about marijuana, cannabis, the devil's lettuce, the eggplant. Oh, that's the penis. What is broccoli? That's what I meant. Sorry, I send a lot of eggplants to my wife. Ba-doom, boom. Oh, why did I just say ba-doom, boom? Let me say that again. I send a lot of eggplants to my wife. I don't know why I said that with my own vocal cords instead of using my soundboard. Anyway, thank you to anyone that made it to 43 minutes of this show. I will talk to you next time. My name's Ro. I'm also known as the Stone Genius. I don't think I like that. That's not a good way to go out.